Hello guys, and welcome back to a New Girls Frontline 2 video. Klukai's back on a rerun banner, and if you've been on the fence about pulling her, this is the perfect time to decide. Let's break down her kit, where she stands in the current meta, her best teammates, and whether she's actually worth your pulls. Klukai is essentially a high-impact DPS unit with strong burst potential and solid utility baked into her kit. What makes her stand out is how she applies consistent pressure through follow-up damage and skill interactions, rather than just one big nuke. Her abilities revolve around applying and stacking her unique debuff, which is a mark-type effect that increases the damage enemies take and can be consumed or triggered to deal additional damage instances. As these stacks build up, her damage ramps significantly, letting her convert setup into strong burst windows. This makes her especially strong in longer fights, where she has time to ramp up and fully utilize her mechanics. Her skill set allows her to mark enemies and trigger additional hits when certain conditions are met, often consuming those stacks to deal bonus damage or enabling follow-up attacks after allies act. This synergizes extremely well with teams that can enable frequent actions or apply debuffs consistently. She's not just a selfish DPS either. She brings value through steady chip damage, reliable uptime, and the ability to keep pressure on multiple targets, which is a big deal in tougher PvE content and boss fights. Now, in terms of the current meta, Klukai is still considered a strong, but not completely broken unit. She sits comfortably in that upper tier of DPS characters, definitely viable for endgame content, but not a must-pull like some of the absolute top meta-defining units. Since her initial release, newer dolls have come out that can outshine her in specific scenarios, especially in pure burst damage or speed clearing content. However, Klukai's consistency and flexibility still make her a very safe and reliable pick, especially for players who prefer stable performance over high-risk, high-reward playstyles. Where she really shines is in sustained fights, boss content, and situations where you can fully utilize her stacking mechanics over multiple turns. If you're someone who values controlled damage output and synergy-driven gameplay, she fits that role extremely well. For teammates, Klukai benefits the most from units that can either apply debuffs, grant extra actions, or help her cycle through her abilities faster. Some strong examples include Chongjiu, who can help apply consistent pressure and synergize with follow-up damage; Suomi, who provides strong support and survivability while enabling longer fights; and Ksenia, who can help with debuff application and team utility. Units like Sharkri can also work well by contributing additional damage instances that help trigger Klukai's effects more frequently. Supports that boost attack or increase action economy will naturally amplify her overall output. She doesn't require a super specific team to function, which is another plus. You can slot her into most standard DPS comps, and she'll perform well, but she definitely scales higher when properly supported and built around. Now, the big question, should you pull? If you're lacking a strong, consistent DPS unit, Klukai is absolutely worth considering. She's reliable, scales well with investment, and can carry you through a lot of content without needing perfect conditions. However, if your roster already includes top-tier DPS units or newer meta characters, she becomes more of a luxury pick rather than a necessity. For free-to-play players or low spenders, this is where you need to be a bit more careful. Since she's strong but not meta-defining, you might want to save for future banners, unless you really like her playstyle or character. As for her signature weapon, it's good, but not mandatory. Like most signature weapons, it enhances her strengths by improving her damage consistency and making her kit smoother to play. But the gap between her signature and solid alternative weapons isn't massive enough to justify going all in unless you're fully committed to maining her or min-maxing your team. So overall, Klukai is a strong, flexible DPS who still holds her place in the meta, even on rerun. She's not the absolute top anymore, but she's far from outdated, and in the right team, she can still put in serious work and deliver consistent results. If you like her playstyle or need a dependable DPS, she's a solid pull. Otherwise, you can afford to skip and save for something more meta-defining down the line. I hope you find this video helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.